fast forwarding.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Iron Kaiser Gaming, and welcome to the event of the year. It is Noob Cup 3. This tournament, I'm going to hit play here and actually just get us into the match here. But the Noob Cup is the very reason for why Iron Kaiser Gaming first came into existence. It is the joie de vivre. It is the purpose that really motivates me as a caster. It's to celebrate everything real-time strategy, everything Age of Empires 2, and really celebrate the experience of people getting into multiplayer for the first time, or elevating people that really don't feel like maybe they want to try that multiplayer competitive side of things, and to dip their toes into that world and see just how much fun it really can be. Not just at the pro level, but for the everyday people like you and me. So, I am your host, the Iron Kaiser. I am joined today by my best friend and co-caster, Hiram Attire. Hiram, how you doing today?
I am doing, as I've said so many other times before, I am doing great because any day I get to play or cast some AoE is a great day.
Amen, that's right, that's right. Jimmy James in chat, dude. Good to have you. I am having an absolute blast. We're kicking off a whole new tournament here. So, just so you're aware, before we get into the analysis of the match, let me just explain the situation. We have 9 contestants, 9 competitors in the Noob Cup, and every one of them has limited experience with, Age of Empires in general, let alone, Age of Empires multiplayer. And, I think they're all friends and family, and friends of family and family of friends. And, they know of the game. They maybe grew up with it, played some of the single player, but have very limited experience playing it in the multiplayer. And they've signed up. That's part of what the Noob Cup's all about. So they've signed up to really dive into this experience head first, more or less for the first time. Now, 3 of our competitors actually played in the very first Noob Cup. If you go back to the first videos of the channel, that is Noob Cup 1. And so what we've decided to do is for those 3, because they've had a taste of this experience before, is we've got several qualifier matches. And in today's stream, we're doing qualifier match number 1 between Blappy in the red and Statistic in the blue. And the goal here is those 3 are going to kind of play qualifier rounds, and 2 out of those 3 will move on to the quarterfinals. And then they will be joined by the remaining contestants who are all brand new to the Noob Cup tournament. And it is going to be an absolute blast and a celebration, again, of Age of Empires 2 and kind of the experience I think we all had, either growing up with this game back in the day or even getting into it more recently. Kind of a world before build orders and before, the real hardcore, multiplayer experience. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. All right, I've done a lot of talking. Hiram, lead us in here. What are we looking at? Looks like we're on Team Islands. Talk to me about what you're seeing with these 2 civs. Are you with me, buddy?
Try that now. Do you hear this?
I hear you now.
I'm chasing a little bit of a tech issue. One of the things I love about a Noob Cup.
I tell you, I'm gonna mute you 1 second. There's a little bit of an echo in the background, so I'm gonna mute you so you can figure out your own situation. I'll let you hop back in a second, all right? So I'll jump in here. This is interesting. One of the features of this tournament, by the way, they have access to all of the maps in Age of Empires 2, and the game will pick one at random. So both players going in aren't even sure, what to expect, right? So Blappy's chosen the Goths here, Statistic the Vietnamese. It's an interesting matchup because played optimally, the Vietnamese I think would be the better naval civilization. Definitely have the archer, techs that would apply well to galleys, that kind of thing. And there, if we take a look, actually, this is a brand new feature that's really cool. We can kind of see their tech tree at a glance. And they seem to have a pretty good dock. I would say a better dock than the Goths do, if I remember correctly. Well, the Goths actually do have fast fires, and what do we have here? They have the fire ship, and no, you know what? Actually, the Goths have the fast fires, and the Vietnamese don't. I'll give them that. And the Vietnamese don't get shipwright? Wow. I mean, you do have, the economic upgrades not costing wood. I feel like, I want to say the Vietnamese have a better navy, but just looking at the text, I might be wrong about that. I guess paper money might help. But yeah, no, actually, I think the Goths are a really good pick here. Not to mention, if the game goes late and we see Huskarls in the field, the Goth unique unit, it's an infantry unit with a lot of pierce armor. Statistically, the Vietnamese probably is going to go archers, and that might work out really well for our Goth player. Be sure, guys, to root for these two. Again, I cannot say enough. When I call this a Noob Cup, I'm not making fun of these guys, right? I'm not laughing at them. I'm celebrating. These guys are champions for putting themselves out there. So win or lose, I think they're both bosses. Be sure to leave a message in chat. Say hey. Tell me in chat who you think is going to win this thing. Now, Hiram, I want to see. Are you back up and running? Yeah, you sound great now. I'm going to bring you back in. Okay. So what do you think? Do you agree with my analysis here that I think Blappy might actually have the better civ?
Yeah, I think that the Goths is a great pick. They are stronger overall or all around than a lot of people give them credit for. Mm-hmm. They're often played in the strict infantry rush, Huskarl into an expected archer mass. But the truth of the matter is, if they've got a relatively strong tech tree almost all the way around. They have some notable weaknesses. They don't get stone walls, for instance, but they can punch in a lot more places than just Huskarl. So I think the Goths is a good pick. As far as the Navy goes, I relatively agree with your assessment if it turns into a heavy naval fight. But one of the things I really like about a Noob Cup, this is what I was trying to say earlier, is that a lot of what we look at when it comes to a civ matchup or a map matchup or something like that is you're not necessarily looking at the min-max of what the civs in the map could be. Mm-hmm. And so it opens a lot of freedom between players of not necessarily top elo. Of course, everyone loves watching Hera, everyone loves watching pro games, and the stuff that the pros can pull off is just nuts.
Right.
But one of the advantages of a Noob Cup is we're not locked into pro-level strats. Mm-hmm. So what we could see is pretty much anything, which is what I love about this series.
Yeah, I think that's true too. And something that you really said at the beginning there that I think is worth highlighting and maybe spotlighting for our future Noob Cup competitors is that the Goths, like you said, they're very typically played in a straightforward, just straight infantry kind of way, but they actually have a lot of flexibility in their tech tree. And one of the things that they may be challenged to do over the course of the tournament is to pick a civ that so clearly leans in one direction, like in the case of the Goths, they're an infantry civ, right? But recognize that the situation maybe calls for a different unit, and actually to explore your archer options, your cavalry options, whatever.
Right.
And I think that's something that hopefully we see that kind of thing and that kind of flexibility. But my prediction is that as noobs, people that are new to the game, if they've done any research on their civs, and I'm sure that they have, they probably are just going to lock into whatever that best unit is and not deviate from it.
Potentially, yes, but again, the Goth bonuses, they lean really well into things like champions, not just Huskarls, right? And masked champions are decently hard to counter unless you know what's coming. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what I mean by a good all around. Even if you're leaning into the Goth eco a little bit, or the Goth ethos rather, you could still go into something that is just entirely different than what pros would go into. Mm-hmm. What a pro sees is not necessarily what somebody less familiar sees. So you could totally see somebody reading the Goth civ bonus and go, I'm going to go all in men-at-arms feudal play with the Goths. And I'm looking forward to seeing just exactly what they intend to do. Definitely seeing Navy for both, although we've got statistics. More than,
let me... Flappy. I'm going to say a few more things, and we're actually going to start analyzing what's going on the map here. Just so you guys know, one thing that you do see on screen is our prize pool. right out of the gate, we have a really cool prize pool. Someone has stepped in and sponsored us for $150. And there is an opportunity that you guys have to contribute to that prize pool. So over the course of this tournament, which is going to run for around about to the end of the month, you have the opportunity to donate to I guess tip the channel, and everything that I get in that tip is going to go straight into that prize pool. So if you want to kind of have your name put up there on the stream and be able to again kind of share your support for what's going on here, share your support for Age of Empires and for our competitors, by all means, that's an option for you. This is also doing a little bit of tech support. We have all of that on there. I should have people's chat. I'm bothered that I don't have the text showing up on screen. I've got to get that debugged and fixed. But oh well. Now, I think at that point, I've said everything needs to be said in the background. Let's get into this analysis. One of the things that, the players have put in varying amounts of practice leading up to the Cup. They signed up about, I'd say, maybe a month and some change ago. And I think we might... I don't know about Blappy. I know that Statistic has been putting in some serious work. And I think we are seeing that here with... Take a look at some of these key numbers. The Idletown Center time, it's 2 minutes for Statistic. Blappy up closer to 13 minutes. So the resources collected are significantly higher. And I think right now, he's off to a very good start, as he's entering into the Castle Age around the same time that Blappy's moving up to the Feudal Age. So I'm going to say, unless... There's still a world. Like I said, I think the Goths are maybe the stronger Civ pick. But for this first match, which will be... the qualifier round is a best of 1. So for this battle right now, he definitely has the edge. I do love though that she's getting the scout out to see what's going on. That's encouraging.
And I also love that she's keeping the militia back until she gets a better idea of what to pick where. Now, Statistic, he's got a decent eco already. He's got a bunch of military production already out. He's already got a couple archers. So I don't think the attack's going to do much, but I do love it when a player lands another player. And as we used to say in the old League days, sends a message.
Right. I think that kind of the big picture point of view, I love what Blappy's doing. It's fantastic. It's just whether or not some of the numbers behind the scenes are going to support that or not. I am really curious because I know the Statistic has really been putting in a lot of work leading up to the tournament. So I am really interested in sort of following along to see what kind of how well he handles things.
Scout fight.
Check really quickly. Nice. At this point, will he pick up blacksmith techs? That's one of the things I'm wondering about.
She's gone men at arms, which, she's at 17 vills so far, and a couple men at arms are not going to be able to do terribly much in the fight, but I do appreciate a person going into men at arms.
Stat going with the back dock. I don't know if you even realize this or not, but that does mean that his fishing is a lot safer. That tends to indicate you're not necessarily trying to get into a fight early, but you just want that eco bonus. Pretty cool.
On the flip side, going front dock means that you get a lot more efficient fishing early.
Mm-hmm. More efficient fishing, and it's a little more aggressive too. If you want to start fighting, it's easier with a front dock. So that's pretty neat.
Now, of course, Statistic has both a back and a front dock now, so.
I love that he's got the galleys out already. Would love to see him scout around a little bit, see if his opponent's on the water and if he can do some damage. But definitely he's setting himself up really well here. I am surprised. I'm gonna share something that he might run into in future games. He's got 16 on wood. He's got so many woodvilles. And if his opening move is scouts or knights, then I don't think he needs as many lumberjacks. I think he should be taking a lot of these and converting them into more farmers for more food. He's got a lot on gold, so that's good. put on more on farms in order to kind of match that food production, and he gets out a lot more cavalry a lot faster.
Now, I wonder if this is a feature of the map where it looks like he's gone. I mean, it's a one archery range as we see it right now. If you're gonna do an archery unit rush, then a heavy wood and gold while just keeping relatively near 13 in the feudal age on food is pretty common. So I wonder if he just heavy into archery range units.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
In a land fight, and then has been thrown a little bit by the
Salamander
water.
Coke King, welcome to the chat. Welcome to Noob Cup 3. Vietnamese Keep, yes, you know it. You know it. Nothing beats the Vietnamese Keep.
Except for Vietnamese Keep.
Oh, yeah. Classic Vietnamese Keep. Never goes wrong, ever. Okay, stat, moving out with the galleys, finding damage, which is what I was calling for earlier. This is a really good move. Really, really helps him out even further. And all of these ships, I mean, I don't even know if... Fishing ship down. And what do we have? Now we've got the scouts are out. And they have armor. Let me give some kudos here. For one, picking up blacksmith text, very good. Two, I don't know whether it's a coincidence or not, but having a melee unit, picking up the armor first is the right call. A combination of archers and cav, I like it. The archers...
I do too.
I think that I don't know that it's enough archers. These scouts will they all die? No, they won't all die. There's the armor coming in. I think
well,
that
and
made
having
the
a few archers in support means that the spearmen are taking constant damage while they struggle to find a pick.
Now the question is, okay, all right, more infantry being produced by our Goth player.
Now we've got villagers coming up to land from Statistic, and he's hit castle age, but he doesn't have the stone to build a castle. So I would expect more military buildings, production buildings at this point.
So what I want to do, let me one thing I want to highlight for stat. I'm going to guess that in this moment, I'm noticing that his town center is totally idle, and I think what he's got is he's just all in focused on moving the military units around and making sure they don't die to the infantry, and it makes sense, right? We all are like that. Little tip for him if he goes any further into the tournament is to try to like have a hotkey for your town center and find ways to keep your eco growing and moving as you're on the offense or as you're playing defense or whatever. Doing that balancing out of that juggling is really tough, but it'll reward you if you can pull it off.
Also, since we're giving tips, I don't know if the contestants will get a chance to review these or not. You know, by the time the game moves on, or the contestants move on. But if you're facing a massive unit, instead of right-clicking a particular target for those units, one of the things that can be really helpful is to use an attack move. We saw that the spearmen got bogged down. Flappy spearmen got bogged down trying to find that one pick on that one unit that had right-clicked, and in the pathing getting to there, it was difficult. If you attack move, then they'll attack the first enemy they run into on the way to that point, and that means that you're not necessarily getting bogged down. You find this a lot. You know, if you send in a bunch of knights and you right-click an archer that's in the middle of an archer ball, the knights will basically just run up to the archers and stand there, still not doing anything, trying to attack that one in the middle of the archer ball.
Well, let me give a shout out to my boy General Brandito Thorpe. Welcome to the chat. Saying you're back. I was playing Empire Earth the other day. That's awesome. I got to admit, so I grew up, you know, with like obviously Age of Empires type of thing. Rise of Nations was my game. I have never played Empire Earth, so you've got to tell me, is it good? Like, clearly it's sort of stood the test of time, right? There are very few games like it. Anyway. While we get kind of chat's opinion on that. And that's from YouTube, by the way. So I've got the YouTube chat and Twitch chat at the same time. And make sure, guys, if you're like not following me on YouTube, go subscribe there. And if you're not following me on Twitch, make sure to check me out at twitch.tv/IronKaiserGaming. And follow me along over there, because sometimes I do exclusive stuff on Twitch. But yeah, bringing it back to what you were saying, I agree with you. I would hope, and I think that our contestants will, at least some of them, are going to come back and watch these games and maybe take notes, see how they can improve in their own performance. We have Stat making a landing on Blappy's Island. I like it.
You know, and for me, it's not even so much just about this this particular match, or even this series, or even the Noob Cup as a whole. It's I've been that noob who wants to go into multiplayer, and there's just so much, you know. And you posted a meme the other day. I don't know if you posted it in your channel or not, from Kingdom of Heaven. Who is good enough to play an AoE 2 multiplayer? Nobody.
Everybody. Yeah.
You know, and that really is true. So, pro tip for anybody who's thinking about maybe getting your feet wet in this kind of thing: just do it. Don't wait until you're better. Don't wait until you can beat the hardest AI. Don't wait for anything at all. Get in. You'll lose a bunch of matches in the beginning, and that's okay, because you land in a place where you're winning and losing half your games.
And the point to that is, like, not only are you going to be winning or losing half your games, but also like the experience of playing this game against another person is just unmatched. I mean, I think the reason why this cup exists is because when I started playing Age of Empires, I only played against the computer. That's all I did. All I would dare to do. And I kind of thought, like, maybe multiplayer really isn't for me, because I'm not pro level. I'm still not pro level, right? But even as a noob myself, when I finally just dared to, you know, dip my foot into that pool, and yeah, you're right, I lost a bunch of games at first, and my elo plummeted. But when I finally started, like, getting at the right level and playing with people my skill level, which everybody, like, you can play at, there's people at your skill level. I don't care how bad you are. There's people at your skill level. It's, like, so much better than playing against the bot. And just celebrating that and wanting to, you know, kind of advertise that and encourage more people to get onto the ladder. That's what this is all about.
Exactly. And so for me, these are shout-outs to players who might not necessarily know. You know, they hear stuff like attack move or patrol formation or stuff like that, and they have no idea how to do it or exactly why you're supposed to. You know? For me, I remember back when I started multiplayer, luring a boar was something that the pros did. And only the pros did it, or, you know, people who were really good who lured the boar. And for me, I couldn't figure out why I was supposed to lure the boar when I could just, you know, take it where it was.
Right,
like, why would I?
Here we go. Got to interrupt you. Got an engagement here as Blappy's infantry getting lulled into the enemy castle, and a couple. Yeah, I can tell. Blappy's not expecting that. There was some wall building happening on the south side of the island.
Yep.
And this is definitely going to be tough to push back. Some critique for Stat. I see that he's built 2 archery ranges on the island, but I don't really see him doing a lot with it. And I don't know.
In spite of having by far the resources.
Yeah. It's like he's so much wood, so much gold. If he wants to get out archers, cav archers, or whatever, he has plenty to do. And my guess is, if he's like me, because I used to do this thing all the time. He clicks up to Imp, which we see he's about to get the Imp upgrade coming in right now. And your brain shuts off, and it's like, all right, I'm going to wait for that tech to come in before I start producing things and, you know, moving to that next level. And so that'd be something else to maybe say, all right, something that can be improved on. Keep producing things even as you are teching up.
Yep.
Got some chats here. We have Calliope AoE saying, gee, I wonder who he got landing on the opponent's island from. Yes, that's right. OG Noob Cup fans will remember Calliope AoE, aka Kalimitar. Ended up taking on Statistic in Noob Cup 1, and I forget if it was Team Islands or not. Yeah, it was Team Islands. It was actually this very map. I wonder if Stat's having, like, flashbacks or something. But and it ended up kind of being a role reversal. He might have learned from that match. I don't know. Meanwhile, General Brandito Thorpe saying, I like Age of Empires 4 and 3. Yeah, man, I'm a big AoE 3 fan. I love that game a lot. AoE 4, I need to get into even more. You guys, if you're a fan of the channel, you know that I've got the video out there on the Crusader States, not Crusader States, it was the Knights Templar, and I want to play with them even more. I want to get some more ladder experience with those guys. Blappy's in a tough situation where, and this is kind of maybe what I was saying earlier, although really the issue is the resource collection, fewer villagers. Even if we deleted all of Stat's army, it's hard to beat a 73 vil, civ against when you've got 18 vils, right? So that's the number one thing, is just getting into that rhythm of keeping your town center going, more food, more wood. You want to try to get high double digits, 40 on wood and 40 on food. And you want a lot of villagers out there. So you just keep your town center producing, keep it going. But the other thing that I think is maybe throwing Blappy a little bit is that Blappy's playing Goth, so she's thinking infantry. I'm going to go infantry. And even as I say that, Blappy is getting an archery range up. So I wonder if we're actually going to see skirmishers, which will be exactly the right choice. If Stat sits back and lets Blappy kind of get some breathing room, maybe we see Huskarl, the unique unit, which I think would be a great pick here. But in the meantime, certainly in the Feudal Age, early Castle Age, skirmishers would be a really good pick here against those archers.
And I think we've seen a little bit. I agree with you that in a straight-up game, and considering we have Trebs on the field already for statistic, I don't think it's necessarily going to be any different for this one. But it is hard to beat a 70-odd village lead when you've only got 20. If you're being pressed. If you're not being pressed, then I've seen advantages like that evaporate. I've been the guy with advantages like that evaporate because suddenly, I just let them go for 15 minutes without doing it, and that's all that went to me. Here, Stat has all of these archers, but they're being nice and safe under his castle. They could have spent all of the last, however many minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes.
I wonder if we'll see the
right
killing
next
blow
to the
here.
goal.
Blappy getting skirmishers out, and I applaud that move. The Cav Archer will go down fast. Skirmishers, really, really good pick. It probably, if I'm being honest, it's probably too little too late here.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine a way out of this if you're being pressed, like I said. And now, like I said, now that we've got Trebs on the field, she is being pressed. 10 minutes ago, there might have been options.
Yeah. And what I want to do, before I respond to chat real fast, let me just give Blappy a lot of kudos, because Blappy reached out to me a few hours ago and said, "Hey, I'm not sure that I'm not really feeling that well. I don't know whether, I can really go on. Should I concede?" And I said, "Well, you do what you have to do. But I mean, I've notified people that the game is happening, and we're all going to be kind of." It'll be a disappointment if you're not able to make it, but I understand. You do what you got to do. And Blappy said, "You know what? I'll sort of push through, and I think I can do it. I think I can make it happen." And Blappy was saying, I don't know that I'm going to do great, but I'll do my best. And that's where I'm kind of saying, I don't know how she's feeling right now or not, but
oh yeah,
I give Blappy a huge round of applause for stepping up, especially. When she communicated to me, she wasn't really feeling that well, but for the sake of the show, for the sake of the tournament, and not wanting to let people down, that kind of thing. She stepped up.
And you know what they say, it doesn't matter how slowly you go, you're lapping everybody on the bench. Anybody who shows up,
right?
Anybody who shows up doing something that a lot of other people, or that certain other people just won't do. So even if you show up and do poorly, that earns a certain amount of respect.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Besides, they're gonna do poorly, so they never bother to show up.
Yeah.
So.
Like I said earlier in the show, it's like just being on the field makes you a champ in my book. I mean,
Amen to that.
You seriously are like a winner for stepping up and putting yourself out there, even if you get knocked out. So, got some people I got to talk to really quickly, and then we'll kind of dive back into what this means for the tournament. First, General Brandito Thorpe says 4 has beautiful music for each civilization. I do agree with that. I think one of the strongest parts of Age of Empires 4 is its soundscape. The themes are really gorgeous. That's awesome. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. We also have Marcus Gonzalez on YouTube saying, Iron Kaiser! Dude, welcome to the stream. It's a pleasure to have you joining us here for the first match of Noob Cup 3 SummerSlam, which has concluded with Statistic victorious. So, looping you guys in, and that's the only game for the tournament that we have today. It's a best of 1. Future, after we get past these qualifier games, it's going to be a best of 3 series. So these opponents will be going back-to-back against each other. But here's kind of how this plays out. Stat takes 1 point on Blappy. We've got 2 more qualifier matches. Blappy's not out of the tournament yet. I mean, assuming I'm assuming she doesn't resign or anything like that. Blappy will take on our third competitor who played back in the original Noob Cup, I-Knights. And Stat will also go up against I-Knights. And after those 3 matches have been played, then 2 of them will move on into the quarterfinals, where it'll be a best of 3 series, random maps, awesome experience. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. So, again, make sure you're following on YouTube and Twitch and all that so that you stay up to date with this really, really cool tournament experience. Hiram, do you want to give any, like, as we were watching the game here, sort of any feedback or advice to both of our players? Like what did you notice? Yeah, go ahead.
The Blappy, the big thing is one of the most important things you can do in any Age of Empires game. Always keep your town center producing. Always. If it's not producing villagers, age up or get loom or get something, but make sure your town center is always working. And so if you've got your town center always working, then you've given yourself space to have options. You can pivot from one unit type into another, or you can start making choices. But if your town center isn't always producing, then it's easy to get painted into a corner and not be able to respond to an enemy moving. So make sure your town center is always producing and keep those villagers coming out. For Statistic, I would say develop a little bit of the killer instinct. Like I was saying a little bit ago, he had a bunch of archers. They're all kind of sitting under the castle. You could totally push them up on this map and have sat underneath where Blappy was mining gold and kill those villagers, because she didn't really have a response to that, but he didn't. So get that killer instinct. If you've got an advantage, press it. If you've got an angle, hold it. If you've got something you can do with what you have, then do it, because an army that is not moving is kind of like an idle villager in that they're not giving value for their
right. Yeah, I agree with you.
Do stuff with your stuff.
Do stuff with your stuff. Yeah. I have similar feedback. I think for Blappy, I actually liked a lot of the strategic decisions Blappy was making. I think she was the first one on the water. She definitely was on the water and recognized the importance of the fishing eco. That was awesome. I adored the fact that she actually landed her opponent first with the scouts, with the infantry, kind of trying to figure out what was going on and get some damage in. So in a way, you might even say that she had an element of killer instinct that Stat could learn from.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there were some really cool things that she did. At the same time, those fundamentals of it's like just keeping that economy growing and building and massing up larger and larger and larger was definitely a stronger suit for Statistic, and that carried him over this game pretty straightforwardly. So as Blappy goes into the match against I-Knights, that would be my encouragement. There is insofar as you have time to practice and that kind of thing, and I understand that's not the case for everybody, including some of our contestants. But what I would say then is, like, if you're able to practice, it is all about just getting to that rhythm. More villagers, especially food and wood. Gold and stone are a lot easier to collect, so you need fewer bills on those. As for stat, I agree with you that it's kind of a twofold thing. One, if you look at the resources here at the end of the match, he's floating thousands of wood, food, gold. There's just a lot of room to expand out his base, get out a lot more production buildings, a lot more units. He's at 99 out of 105. He could double those numbers, right? So, especially where he's at right now. So kind of as he moves up into the tournament, and again, I know he's not the only one who's been practicing really hard for this tournament, so I know he'll want to be tweaking and improving more and more. That's something that I would point to, is say, hey, make sure you're using your resources. They're useless to you in the bank like this. So 2 ranges are good, 10 ranges are even better, you know, and
right.
More houses, more army. And then I agree with you too. There was a period of time there where he had a lot of archers, and I mean, we knew he very clearly had the edge. There is such a thing as being foolhardy or being too risky, but I think there was definitely an opportunity to, you know, push his advantage, find more damage, and you know, kind of maybe cripple his opponent more decisively. And I think that might be important as he moves along in the tournament. Yeah, General Brandito says use the marketplace. Yes, exactly right. Now, in his case, I don't think he needs to use the market so much, because he has in his bank everything he needs for whatever he wants. Does he want another castle? He's got the stone. But if you find yourself with 7,000 wood and you need some gold, absolutely. Build a market. Does he even have a market? Let's see. He does have a market.
Yes, he does. He actually, I don't know, it didn't come, we didn't talk about it much, but he was trading with the market a few times. When he plopped down his castle, for instance, that's, I believe, how he got all of the stone to, or a lot of the stone to plop down that castle. He's built a couple TCs and other things, and he hadn't been mining stone, so he did use the market. Awesome.
All right. Well, that was qualifier number 1 in the can. So there's 2 more, and we don't have... let me actually double check. There is the next game that's been scheduled. Is... I think it's the 10th, if I remember correctly. The 8th.
I gotta wait for
the 8th. Okay, the 8th. It's 2 days from now at 11:30 EST.
Oh yeah.
And that is a best of 3 series. It's actually a qualifier, a quarterfinal match. So it's a little bit out of sync with the qualifiers, but that'll actually be an amazing set to watch. So I know that that's coming up in a couple of days, but especially early on, we're kind of figuring out dates. We're, again, friends and family, keeping it relaxed. If you guys want to follow along with the tournament, the best way to do that, make sure that you're subscribed and following and all that good stuff. Brandito says Blabby needs to practice how to use resources properly. Well, they both do. They both do, but just in different ways. I think she needs to practice how to collect them. He needs to practice how to spend them. But yeah, congratulations, Stat, for securing a place in the quarterfinals. I mean, that's pretty much what it boils down to. Whether he wins or loses to I-Knights later on, he's going to be in the show one way or the other. Unless it's a 3-way tie, and then we'll sort of figure that out, but we'll see. All right, what I will propose to you, my buddy Hiram, if you're down for it, we've got an audience here, we got people listening along. What I think would be fun, I'm just checking a note here real quick. What I think would be fun is to actually do a really quick 2025 tier list on what civs you think would be best for the Noob Cup.
Okay, yeah, I'm down.
Are you down?
Yeah, I'm always down.
All right.
Like Goblin Town, which, if you know anything about Tolkien, you know Goblin Town is pretty down.
It's pretty down. That's true. That's true. Let's see here. Let's go into... Let me shut that off, actually. All right. Okay. Let me see if I need to... I'll tell you what I'm going to do. YouTube, I'm going to make this one a Twitch exclusive. So, if you want to follow along and, you know, listen to 2 guys yap about AoE 2 civs for a while, you need to make sure you come over to Twitch. So, check me out over at twitch.tv/IronKaiserGaming. But otherwise, I'll see you around. See you next time in Noob Cup 3. Hope you